FFPC live preview. I'm your host, Aidan Liquorie. Joining me as always, Dave Terpoilli. We're not even going to talk about yesterday. This as we're recording on Friday. Yesterday's Thursday night game. We don't want that PTSD. Terp, I think we're just going to jump right into it. No really news and notes about what's going on. So I'm just gonna ask you off the bat. Friends don't let friends start. Who are you advising not to start this week? A player who's in the top 25 in their position and projected points.
I think a lot of people are going to be on this guy, and I don't really understand why. Marquise Brown against the Eagles. Obviously, I'm a homer, so most people are thinking that's a homer pick. But Darius Slay will play. Bradbury has been great on the other side. So I expect at the end of the day, I think Brown's going to get shut down. He's got a ton of targets, but I really think I'm a big naysayer against the Cardinals. I've been since day one, and I've been pretty much spot on. Kyler Murray has been terrible. This could come back and bite me, obviously, but Marquise Brown is my guy that I'm staying away from.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I know you're gonna like this one. Joe Mixon's projected running back for this week. I don't really see where the love is coming from. It's just he's not good. It's kind of simple as that. He has shown nothing to give any fantasy managers confidence this year in him. He's going to a game that should more than likely people are expected to be a shootout. But I mean, the Bengals have shown their offense is going to be productive through the air, not on the ground. O-line has struggled in terms of successful rushing. Mixon hasn't looked good in his ability to break through anything. I think he's very touchdown reliant. I'm staying away from Joe Mixon, and I think it's just kind of ridiculous.
Love that call. He's been terrible. I have him on a very good main event team that I have, and he easily could have had 30 points last week.
Yeah, I mean,
runs right into people, no elusive ability.
It's not a fun pick like, oh, this guy who everyone's hyping up, I think he's going to crash. This is literally just my eyes are telling me Joe Mixon is not going to be good at football this year. Simple as that. Running back for this week is way too high. I'm staying away from him, but
way too high.
I'm not getting into the Bengals receivers, but I think the Bengals receivers, both of them, Chase and Higgins, are both due for very solid days on a Sunday Night Football. Terp, next up. We haven't gotten one yet. We are both 0 for 4. This has been a brutal one. 2 touchdown guarantee, a position player who was scoring multiple touchdowns. In our defense, a lot of these guys we've said have scored 1 touchdown each week, but we haven't gotten the 2 yet. Who's your 2 touchdown guarantee?
I just think this is an easy pick, and I usually don't do this. I always try to get a little outside the ball, but my 2 touchdown guarantee will be Stephon Diggs. No Dawson Knox, Isaiah McKenzie out, Jamison Crowder out. It's pretty much going to be the him and Gabe Davis show. I really don't see any other guys really getting much target. The rookie Shakur, I think, will get some targets. But besides that, Stephon Diggs should get there very easily. If he doesn't get at least 1 touchdown, then I would be shocked. So my 2 touchdown guarantee will be Stephon Diggs.
Yeah, I'm going to go with running back 23 this week, Damian Harris. Maybe the cheat code to try and get the 2 touchdown guarantee is just pick someone who's playing.
That's off the wall.
They're obviously the Lions. People have talked about it all over Twitter this week, giving up 35 points per game. They've given up 8 rushing touchdowns already on the year. Rashad Penny just torched them last week. Mac Jones may play, may not. Could be Bailey Zapp regardless. Patriots are going to be running the ball between Ramondre and Damian. 32 rushes last week against a solid Packers defense. They were successful with it. I think that the Patriots should be able to move the ball just with how bad the Lions have been on defense, and if they get into the red zone, it's Damian Harris's time. So give me him for the 2 touchdowns this week. That Lions offense is fun. The defense is just as fun for fantasy. Bad. But yeah, I mean, my only concern maybe is Bailey Zapp's there. They don't move the ball, but
that's definitely a concern. But if Mac Jones plays, I think you're spot on with that pick. I like the opposite side. I like Stevenson, but I'm fine with the Harris call too.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a Stevenson owner. We've talked about it months ago on our live months ago now. It's crazy to say, but really it is. Unlike some of our live draft coverage, I was big on Ramondre. I think he still is a better running back, but it's just he's in a situation where the touchdowns, if rushing touchdowns are going to occur, it's more than likely it's going to Damian Harris. So that's kind of my little sleeper one there. Terp, you almost forgot, and give me a player outside of the top 35 in their projected position. Obviously, quarterbacks and tight ends a bit different, but you think is getting underrated this week, due for a big week.
We talked about it when we talked before the show started. George Pickens, I feel like you saw last week with the targets he was getting from Kenny Pickett. It's only going to improve. I feel like they're going to be behind in that game. I feel like that could be the highest scoring game overall on the whole slate. With the Bills obviously putting up points and taking the lead, but the Steelers are going to be fine offensively with Kenny Pickett. They're going to be way better than they were with Trubisky. So I feel like Pickens has been a guy that's been sitting on your bench that you drafted early, that really disappointed early, and now is his time to take it to the next level. So my guy is George Pickens.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with no. He's questionable. I don't know if he's gonna play, but I'm gonna go a guy who has been one of my 2 touchdown guarantees, which was a stupid one in hindsight. But Rashad Bateman is my y'all must fear. He's wide receiver 43 this week.
This guy's
He's
killing
beat
me,
it.
man.
I know he is, but hear me out. My reasoning behind it, kind of what I mentioned for Mixon, despite it being a shootout, I'm low on Mixon because he's looked terrible. This is a shootout. Lamar is going to have to air it out to someone other than Mark Andrews, right? I think Rashad Bateman in those 2 weeks that he's been healthy just shown great flashes. Obviously, he's had the long touchdowns. I just think if he's healthy, I think he's always going to be a very big boomer bust player. I in a game like that with that type of game script, I'm going to lean towards the boom side rather than the bust side. And I think kind of the injury and a little bit of the inefficiency the last couple of weeks, I think people are kind of forgetting what upside he can possess for the fantasy lineup. This is a big, it's a risk by me going with this one again. I went with Dalton Schultz last week. That was terrible. He went for 0, but give me him.
You should know if Bateman's going to play by 4:00, but just if you have Bateman, make sure you protect yourself with a 4:00 guy or one of the players on Monday night, just to make sure if he gets ruled out late that you have protection. You don't want to have Bateman locked in your lineup in a flex position and then he get ruled out at 7:00 and then what? So make sure. I love the call. I'm a huge Bateman owner. Have him pretty much on every main event team. He's been disappointing the last couple of weeks. So I'm with the call. It's just make sure you're protected because even though you should know, it doesn't guarantee that he might get scratched late.
Yeah, I mean, Rashad Bateman this year seems as though he is going to be the player. Well, if he has a long touchdown, and if he doesn't, you might not get anything. So he is the definition of boomer bust. As always, the most anticipated segment. We might have gotten our first win last week. I said Mike Williams. He went 7 for 120. I'm gonna give myself maybe like
That's a dub. I'll give you a dub there.
Yeah, play of the week. I want to hear it. Terp, who is your play of the week?
We talked about this earlier. You talked about this earlier. Jamar Chase, this is the week. I feel like he goes nuclear this week. I feel like it's more Chase than Higgins. I just feel like that game's another game that this is very juicy Sunday night football. A lot of potential scoring in that. Chase really hasn't been a factor lately. I feel like Burrow's going to figure out a way to get him the ball. Jamar Chase, 2 touchdowns. Let's go.
Yeah, I mean, our memories of Jamar Chase against the Ravens are good ones. Obviously, just
very good ones
against them last year. Had a massive touchdown. I'm going to go with Alvin Kamara as my play of the week. He's running back 12. It's not the craziest one, but you're
making some statements this week.
This is one of those where, like, if this isn't the week for Kamara, what would it be? He's playing Seattle. Right. Seattle is a bottom 3 defense against the run in terms of fantasy production. They're giving up a touchdown a game rushing. Just some of these names I had written down. Javonte week 1 exploded for them in the pass game. Cordero and Jamal Williams both cooked against the Seahawks in back-to-back weeks. Kamara said he's playing. Obviously, the ribs are a little bit of a concern, but he was off last week. He's been able to recover. If this isn't the week for Alvin Kamara to have a great week,
I'm 100% with you, and I hope you're right.
So I'm going to go with Alvin Kamara. I think he finally has a massive game this week against Seattle, and it's really, I'm still wary of Kamara for the year, just how inconsistent, rough that Saints offense has looked time in terms of running the ball.
Dreadful.
I'm kind of in on the pass game. Michael Thomas, Olave have both impressed. Obviously, Michael Thomas is banged up. The run game's been rough, but this has to be a Kamara game.
I like that. If it wasn't Jamar Chase, it would have been Chris Olave.
Yeah, Olave was my number 2 as well. It was him or Kamara, but I'm like, I'm going to go a little more. Well, I mean, it's not crazy risky. He's projected RB12. I'm going to go with one that I don't know, that people have been hating on, rightfully so. He's done absolutely nothing. What is your stance? I want to hear it real quick before we go on to wrap up the show. Quick hitters, all the controversy with the London game. Is that on if you're a team owner, that's on you, or it's you're
100% on you? You're an idiot. Set your alarm. Stop whining like a little girl. You knew the game was at 9:30. There's always a chance that weird stuff happens. Set your alarm, wake up, and make the call. Like what? Like that people are out there taking the other side is shocking to me. I don't care if you're East Coast, you're West Coast. You sign up to play fantasy football. You have 1 league or 100 leagues. You know what you're getting yourself into. If you don't wake up in time to get Alvin Kamara out of your lineup, that's on you. Stop whining.
I think it was certainly an interesting situation. I feel like it's one we've seen before. I was under the stance too of the night before they activated Latavius Murray off the practice squad. Should have set off some slight
And it's not like
alarms.
Kamara wasn't injured the week before or wasn't banged up the week before that. It's not like he was a completely healthy person. Wouldn't matter even if he was. But like, what are we talking about? You play fantasy football for a reason. You set your alarm. Is the London games annoying? 100%. Are the Thursday night games annoying? 100%. But when you sign on the dotted line to play in these leagues, you know you're getting yourself into. Stop complaining.
Yeah, we get another London game this week, 9:30 a.m. on Sunday. Don't forget Giants, Packers, Terp. Some quick hitters for you before we get on out of here. A quick show today. Terp, the guy we talked about on the show prior. Before we hopped on. Allen Robinson, over under 2.5 receptions this week.
Under. Cut Allen Robinson. I mean, I don't see any value of holding him on your team right now. I mean, you can always say I'll give him one more week, but it's been 4. Like
it's tough. It's the classic, like you invested the draft capital, the name value still kind of matters psychologically. It's tough dropping them, but the good fantasy GMs cut bait when it's time. They don't wait around. That he's hogging a roster spot. He's terrible. I'm gonna go over because I think he does get like 3 sprinkling. I'm gonna go over there. You're going under. More fantasy points this week. Ramondre Stevenson or Damian Harris?
Stevenson.
So I said Damian Harris is my 2 touchdown score, so I kind of have to go with Damian Harris. So I'm going to go there. We're differing on there. More fantasy points. Dallas Goedert or Gerald Everett?
Dallas Goedert.
Yeah, I mean, Gerald Everett's been kind of, we talked about last week that there hasn't really been too many like waiver wire pickups who've been like
He's definitely been one of them.
Gerald Everett. Solid. He was a late round pick, if that. He didn't really get the buzz, or he was a waiver wire pickup. I'm going to go with Goddard, though, as well. I agree with you. I think they like using him. Obviously, the only issue with Goddard is he's such a talented tight end. He plays in an offense that's going to run the ball.
And they also have Smith and Brown, so it's tough.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to go with Goddard, though. More receiving yards this week. Not fantasy points, receiving yards. Stephon Diggs, one of your guys this week, or Justin Jefferson?
Stephon Diggs.
I'm going to go with Justin Jefferson. Diggs a little bit banged up, struggling. Nah, I'm going to go with Jefferson coming off on a 140-plus yard week. And then more passing touchdowns this week. Justin Herbert or Trevor Lawrence? Trevor Lawrence against the Texans.
Should be
Justin
easy.
Herbert against the Cleveland Browns.
I'll still go Justin Herbert.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you on that one, Justin Herbert. And that's going to wrap it up for us. A quick little, what are we at, 13-minute preview show right there. Terp, as always, thank you for coming on. We thank all our listeners.
Go Phillies.
Go Phillies. We'll be posting this on Saturday morning, so we'll see how your Phils do. And
let's hope so. Let's get a game 1 win, and let's keep marching.
There we go. So a message to Philly right there from Terp. That's going to do it for us. We'll be back next week, as always, just doing our little quick hitter, little segments. Again, as I've already said once, thank you guys for listening.